Hi everyone. We're in the dog days of summer here in Southern California. I'm in Zone 10B. It's been a hot summer, but fortunately, we haven't suffered from the excessive temperatures as other areas of the country. With the heat, watering has been a priority, especially since we grow all of our vegetables in containers. In this video, I'll take you on a tour of our container garden and harvest some veggies. I'll also be doing some chores. I'll show you how and why we add mulch to our containers. Also, blue lake bush beans, and I'll show how we deal with powdery mildew on our tomato plants. We would love to hear from you in the comments about any connections you have as you watch this video. If you get anything out of the video, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel. We would really appreciate it. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I see this little guy every morning when I come out to check on the vegetables. He spins a web between the two cucumber trellises, and I take the web down, but he always recreates it, respins it every night. Okay, see you tomorrow. We've had a great season with these Persian cucumbers, and as you can see, there are some fruit ready to be picked, and there's still a few small ones, but I'm seeing fewer flowers on these 4 plants. So I think these plants are coming to the end of their life cycle. And I think I have some, I have some more fruit down here. So what I'm doing is I'll be transitioning to these Japanese cucumbers. This variety is called Suyo Long. This variety of cucumber is long and skinny versus the short Persian cucumbers. So let's go ahead and harvest these fruit. In these 3 pots, we have bitter melon. The seeds were sown back in May and they were planted out about a month later. I constructed this plant cage for the plants to climb up. And so we have 3 levels. Here's one level. Here is a second level. And here is the top level. Now, as the plants grow up the plant cage, we've been training the lateral shoots to spread out over these 3 levels. And what's nice about this plant cage is as the fruit matures, it's really easy to harvest. We just reach in and harvest the fruit. And speaking of fruit, we are seeing a lot of flowers, which is great. Here is one, for example. This is a fruit that looks like it is setting, which is a great sign. This is the earliest we've seen this. And I think it has to do with the hot and humid weather we're having this summer. Now, these plants have separate female and male flowers. So it's really important that we have pollinators in the garden. And we are seeing more pollinators. We didn't see them earlier this summer, but we are seeing more pollinators in the garden. So these fruit should be ready in the next 3 or 4 weeks. One of the keys to successfully growing vegetables in containers is to add a thick layer of mulch. So here you see in all of my pots this shredded cedar bark that I use as a mulch. I add about 2 to 3 inches to the top of the soil, and that has a couple of purposes. Number one, it keeps the soil nice and moist, especially in the summertime when these pots can get dried out quickly from the sun and the wind. And it keeps those worms nice and happy. It also minimizes the chances of disease. Without the mulch and you have straight soil underneath the plants, When you water, there's always the chance of disease splashing up from the soil up to the plants. And lastly, during the winter time, it helps you to regulate the temperature of the soil. It's like having a nice cozy blanket on top of your soil. So let's go ahead and take a look at this pot. It's ready to be planted out. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the mulch and show you what the soil looks like. Let's go ahead and remove this mulch and see what the soil looks like underneath. Let's take a closer look at this soil. Now, I last watered 2 days ago, and you can see that this soil is just very rich and it is still moist. In this whiskey barrel, I have a variety of zucchini called Goldy. So I have 3 plants here, and it is interplanted with a celebrity tomato. So here you see the fruit in these Ziploc bags. And the purpose of the Ziploc bags is to protect the fruit from rats. I've learned my lesson over the years to protect the fruit, otherwise the rats will chew on them. Now you'll notice that these are starting to turn red. Now we like to pick these at this stage. It's called the breaker stage, and let them ripen on the windowsill. So let's go ahead and harvest some of these celebrity tomatoes. Oh, these are beautiful looking. In this pot, I have Blue Lake bush beans. There are 3 plants in here, and there are a ton of flowers and a lot of fruit developing. They're still not quite ready, so I'm going to give these a little more time. And I have a second pot here. I started these a little bit later. And I'm going to start a third pot. And the whole point of this is to have these beans grow in succession. So let's go ahead and plant some beans in this pot here. Here are the seeds that we're going to sow into this pot. These are Blue Lake bush beans. So this will be the third pot of Blue Lake beans that we'll have in the garden. I'm going to sow more seeds than I need, and I eventually want to thin out to 3 plants. So I have 3 sections that I want to plant in, and I'm going to go ahead and sow 3 seeds in each of these sections. So that's one section there. Here's another section here, and here is a third section. So I'm going about 1 inch deep with my dibber. Okay, set that aside, and we'll just go ahead and drop in our seeds. Okay, so there we have the seeds sown. We go ahead and backfill those holes. Make sure there's good contact with the soil. And just backfill those holes. All right, and then I'm going to place a piece of burlap over the top of this. And this is to keep the soil moist. It kind of acts like a mulch, but it gives the seeds plenty of room to germinate and sprout and push its way up through the soil. And then once it has germinated, I'll go ahead and remove the burlap. I have these clothespins that I like to use for this. So I'm going to go ahead and attach the burlap to the side of the pot so that they don't fly away in the wind. Okay. And let's go ahead and let's go ahead and water that in. Okay, here's the label. Bush beans are done. In the white pot, we have a pollinator plant. That's a lavender. Next to it are green onions that we started from cuttings. We have another pollinator plant here. This is a Salvia. This is a Sungold tomato that was recently planted. This is a Perilla plant, and we love using the leaves to wrap meat and fish. Here we have garlic. This is a Thai pepper plant that Ginger started from seed, and as you can see, they're developing nicely. Here we have some more green onions from cuttings. And in these 4 pots, we have Shishito peppers. Now we've had an amazing harvest this summer of Shishito peppers. So we're going to go ahead and harvest some more. Here I have 2 pots of Japanese eggplant, and as you saw with the tomatoes, I do have these protected with the Ziploc bags. So that one is ready to be harvested. Let's go ahead and swing around to the other pot, and this one looks like it's ready to be harvested. So let's go ahead and harvest some Japanese eggplant. In these grow bags, I have potatoes. In these 2 grow bags, I have sweet potatoes. This variety is called Satsuma. And in these 2 grow bags, I have red Norland potatoes. This is a determinate variety. I'm using a new growing method for these potatoes called the Ruth Stout method. Now this method states that you should place the seed potatoes directly onto the soil and add rotted hay on top of it. Now I don't have hay, so I'm using this cedar mulch. I placed the seed potatoes directly on the soil, which is about 8 inches below the top of these grow bags. And as the plants grew, I added this red cedar mulch until it got to the top of the bag. Now the purpose of adding the cedar mulch is not to hill it in the traditional sense where you are hilling an indeterminate potato. This is simply to add the mulch to keep the sun off of the tuber. So far it's working really great, and I'm really excited to see what happens. On this trellis we have a tomato variety called Momotaro. And again, these are protected from rats with these Ziploc bags. And it looks like some of them are getting close to maturity. We like to pick the fruit when they get to this breaker stage. That is when they start to turn red, but they're not quite red all the way through. And then we'll take them and place them on the windowsill to ripen. So let's go ahead and harvest some Momotaro tomatoes. So there you have it. This was our midsummer garden update. I hope you enjoyed the tour. Let's take a look at our harvest today. We have Japanese eggplant, Persian cucumbers, Momotaro tomatoes, celebrity tomatoes, and Shishito peppers. Check the description if you'd like to see how to prepare Shishito tempura, tomatoes and caprese salad, roasted Japanese eggplant, and quick cucumber pickles. Please consider liking and sharing this video with people you know. Please consider subscribing to our channel. We would really appreciate your support. Check out these videos for topics related to our garden. And as always, thank you so much for watching.